Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the webinar, How to Increase Your Conversion Rate Using Google Analytics and Insights. My name is Sakina Vora, and I'm the Events Officer here at Connecting Up. Our speaker today is Rodney Ferro. With over 15 years experience in the digital marketing space, Rodney is a digital consultant working with a range of clients in the services, retail, not-for-profit, finance, and education sector. He loves helping people and is always looking for his next digital challenge. So before I hand over to Rodney, just wanted to go through some housekeeping notes. To those who are new, please feel free to type in your questions in the question box and we'll be happy to address them as we go through the presentation. Also, if you're facing any technical issues, like if you're facing any audio issues or are unable to see the slides, please type in those issues as well and I will get them sorted out for you. Also, this presentation is being recorded, so everybody present will receive an email with a link to the recording and slides by end of day today. So without further ado, I'll pass it on to Rodney.
Thanks, Sakina. Hi, everyone. It's Rodney here. I'm running this presentation through the Digital Crowd, which is a company of PM Digital, on how to increase your conversion rate. Now, I've also got a bit of housekeeping coming up, so thanks, Sakina, but I'll probably double up a little bit. So just a little bit about me again, going through it. I used to use this snazzy photo, and I do have a real photo of me now. We've just recently, and excuse me my throat and my sniffles, we just recently had a new addition to the family only 13 days ago, so I've had the sleepless nights again. Which is quite exciting at the same time challenging. Look, I've had the pleasure of working with some really good not-for-profits, as you can see there, Aiden, Crime Stoppers, Benetas, Diabetes Victoria, Kids Undercover, to name a few. And mainly over the last 5 years I've been working as a digital consultant on the client side. This is to improve productivity and efficiency with their digital providers. That just helps me to get more out of the current suppliers with the client, so I can play a bit of that mediator role, and I really enjoy that part of it to try and get those successes and wins. So I've got a bit of housekeeping. It is a bit of an interactive webinar. I'm going to try to do my best to answer questions as they come in with a few intervals that we'll have. And we'll also try and dive into as many live demonstrations as possible. Now, where I have a little play icon button, due to time restrictions, this presentation usually, or this workshop, I conduct using, in about 3 to 4 hours. We've only got less than a quarter of that time, so there will be screencasts available to go in a bit more detail and I guess a bit step by step. So I'll introduce them by having a play icon with that heading. Also, if there's any links to external resources, you'll see the chain link icon. And then if there's a request to email me for more information, you can use that icon there. I have a progress bar on all my presentations at the bottom, so you can see where we're up to and keep track of how we're going. There's an introduction section at the moment that we're going through. We're going to go through Google Analytics setup, if you have a look down the bottom here, and a bit of best practice. We're going to go through an overview of reports. So we're going to go basic reports and a few little advanced reports, the famous ABCs of Google Analytics, campaign tracking, which is one of my favorite reports, customer behavior, understanding a bit more about your customers. I guess that's why we're here as well, to learn how we can better improve the experience. Goals, so that's setting up what Google Analytics considers goals, which is also your website goals, and helps you track that. If we do have time at the back end of this, I'll also go quickly through Facebook Insights. And then finally, a conclusion about improving conversions. So if we can, Sakina, get a quick poll up on the screen. I just wanted to know, the guests that are online today, how many of you are managers of your website, owners of an organization, responsible for reporting only, or responsible for marketing, or other, because maybe you're all of them. And we'll just give that about 10 or 15 seconds.
About 92% have already voted.
Yep. Great. Okay, we'll continue from there. So quite a few managers of website and also responsible for marketing, so that's great. Very few other. So what do we do and why? Now, we're all getting our message out there. And if we look back in the early 2000s, we were kind of distributing mainly our message through radio, TV, print advertising. So we're pushing the message out there. Then came along Google in 2005 to 2008, where everyone started really focusing on search engine optimization a lot more, trying to rank on Google and trying to bring people to their website, which is a lot of pull kind of marketing. Now with the introduction of recent years, probably the 3 to 5 years, we're looking at social media, which is a combination of pull and push marketing, where you're getting your information out on social media and your raving fans are sharing the information for you. So that's what we're all on about. We're using as many digital platforms as we can to basically get our inquiries or leads through the door to our website. So here's a little funnel I like to use. Now I have borrowed this from someone else and I've referenced them down the bottom. But here's just an example of how we use our spend. We might be using it on email marketing, search engine marketing, and social media. Our whole aim is to be able to generate interest to the message we're trying to get out there. Then people will click on a link or and get to our website or our e-commerce website, which is a shopping cart site. And we're hoping for them to complete a form or some sort of goal that we have in mind. If they're making a transaction and buying something, if they're subscribing to a newsletter, so on and so on. The next step is the green section, is mainly how we follow up with that inquiry or lead. If it's something that's automated, like an email sign-up, there might just be a thank you email that goes through, and then they're part of the chain of receiving monthly newsletters, if that's your setup. If it's a shopping cart purchase, you might put them in a different type of email newsletter, trying to let them know about different or related products. Whatever your next step would be, your main aim is obviously to get that last blue area, which is a transaction. So not always is it a monetary sale, I guess, as such. For many, it's various goals. It might be awareness for some. It might be newsletter sign-ups, building your database for others. But this is kind of the funnel that we usually use in marketing to be able to find out the different areas to eventually get that transaction that we're after. So now, as you know, it's just getting cluttered and cluttered and cluttered, the amount of areas we can advertise. I find this being the biggest challenge with all my clients. They keep on ringing me up, Rodney, what should we do about this? What should we do about that? It does get to a stage where you just need to pull back and see if it's part of your digital strategy as well as your, organizational goals to see whether we should be part of the next fad or the next digital medium that appears. I'll pick a few here. You've got search engine optimization, you've got email marketing, you've got blogs, you might have YouTube advertising, and so on and so on. So we really need to work out from this, what do we want to be part of and how are we going to help our users get that really good experience when they come from that medium, for example, social media. If they're hitting a Facebook page and coming to us, what experience are they going to get? So it brings us to our friend Google Analytics, which is what we're here for. And I guess I'm going to go through, so here's the play icon, which means that there will be a detailed screencast available on my website, which I will let you know at the end of the presentation, to go into more detail of how to actually create an account. But just really quickly, it is really vital to have a Google account so that you can use other tools like webmaster tools, other Google I call it candy, by creating a Google account. So you go to google.com, you can fill out your details here if you look at the bottom right of the screen, and if you don't want to create another Gmail or email address, you can use your own email address to do so. So again, I will show you step by step in the screencast, but once you've done that, basically it then gives you access to quickly get into your Google Analytics account. So when creating a Google Analytics account, basically you're going to the Google Analytics page, which is google.com.au/analytics. You click, now at the top right it says create an account or sign in. Now if you already have a Google account, you'll just be able to access Analytics and then create your new account. For most of the people here, you've probably already got Google Analytics. Your web developers provided you this information, so you don't need to know of this. But if you are new to it, because I do know of some that are on this webinar that are new to Google Analytics, they use other analytics tracking tools. So this is how you would go about creating it. The main thing to remember, and even if you do have an existing account, is to get your reporting time zone correct. A lot of people still got it at the default, which is US, and then you'll start to notice things like your data is a day old or, close to that. And people always tell me, oh, why is it not appearing yet? And it's mainly because their time zone is not set correctly. So you can go back and check this to fix it, or ask your web developer to fix it for you. Once you've got the time zone correct, you click on a button that's below on the page called Get Tracking ID. Gives you a bit of tracking code, and then from there you mainly use that tracking code, and you can copy and paste that and send it to your web developer, and they will install it into your website so that your Google Analytics is tracked. Now that is a very important step. Now, it may sound very simple, but let's just go through this. Google only collects data if your analytics tracking code is set up correctly. What do I mean by that? I've noticed that a lot of people, when they're migrating from one website to another, they're all focused on getting the content right and the look and feel right, and they forget to put in the Google Analytics code. So you'll notice months on end where there's just been no tracking because very few people look at their analytics data, which is not good, and they only find out a month in that, oh, we don't have any tracking on the site, so we need to fix that problem. It's important that you make sure your site has Google Analytics tracking code. If there's no code, there's no data. You can't backdate your data, so if you put in the code today, you can't go and get that 1 month's worth of data. It doesn't exist. You can't call Google. You can't complain or ask Google nicely to please get me that data, because if there's no code, they can't track it. Also, there's no undo. So later on when we look at a few reports, I won't be covering the advanced section in this, but when you do start filtering your reports and configuring it to an advanced level, you start changing some of the data that's appeared on your reports. So once you're starting to do that, if you make a mistake, there's actually no undo. So you've got to be mindful of that, and we'll go through how to create what's called multiple views to make sure that you don't ever affect your raw data. You're only configuring and filtering on another view, so you've always got the original to go back to. And finally, who has control of your Google Analytics account? Now, we're going to have another quick poll. Sakina, if you can put that, this is an admin access. Who has full administration access of your Google Analytics account? It'd be really interesting to know. Does your company have full admin access? Does your company only have user access? Does your web developer have the full access, or you really don't know? And there's always an other, because I might not have covered the rest in the poll. So we'll give that another 15 seconds. Okay. Okay, so the majority of people don't actually know, and then we've got a split between company and full admin. So the company has full admin access is actually quite low, and this is what we find most of the cases. So let's just, the reason I put that poll up is it's very important. When I do a digital audit for a lot of clients, we go through risk assessment, and one of the key components is looking at your digital assets and who owns them, who has full control of your digital assets. Now, if it's a web developer, that's kind of a bit scary, because if that web developer decides to go backpacking, or the agency, if you're working with, closes down, they'll take this Google Analytics account with them. And what you'll be forced to do in most cases is to create a new account so you lose any historic data. So that's actually quite scary when you need this data for reporting purposes, or to go back on information from a previous campaign to make your next annual campaign a better campaign. So a good way to check quickly is to log into your Google Analytics account and see if you have these 3 columns. It'll say administration at the top left, and you can see that I've got an account column on the left, I've got a property column in the middle, and I've got a view column on the right. If you cannot change any of the settings or have user management on the very left in your account settings, it means that you don't have full administration access. And please don't do it now, do it after the webinar. But do have a check, and if you're not sure, I can always guide you through this by email or via phone call after the webinar. This is one of the most important parts of Google Analytics, and I'll continue on from here, but please make sure you've got full admin access. Okay, so I talked about setting up multiple views. Now, why do we do this? Again, you're not going to be doing any advanced things or learning any advanced reporting in this session. But if you do start to play with filters and configuration, just because you're feeling a lot more confident, it's best that you set up multiple views. And we have named them in these 3 categories. This is recommended by Google Analytics, Google itself, and that is raw, do not edit. It's what I rename my existing view to. So a lot of people only have 1 view. So if we just go back 1 slide, the very right column, which it says view, allows you to have multiple views. So if you only have 1 view, that means then if you change any data, you're affecting your raw data. So what you can do, and I'll show you how to create the other views, is create one called raw, one called primary, which will be the one that you'll end up using, and one called test, which is where you're going to be testing all your filtration and configuration. Once you're happy with anything that you've done, you can then apply those same settings to the primary view, but never touch the raw view. Now, just so you know, when you start creating these views, they're only going to start tracking data from today, if you did it today. And I guess until that time that you have enough sufficient data, maybe 3 months worth, you're going to have to continue to use raw, but try not to put any filters or customize it in a way that you can't roll back. So this is how you go about creating a new view. So again, you have to have admin access or full administration access. You go to the very right column and you use the drop down, and you'll have an option that says create new view. Once you click on that, the next screen will show you a page to fill out a form, which says new reporting view. You simply type the name of the view. So if we're going to create primary, I type in the name primary and followed by a date. And again, as we said, get that reporting time zone correct. And then you click create view. It's really as simple as that. Now again, just quickly with the create views, I will have a screencast available with a lot more detail on how it works. So please make a note of it if you're interested in knowing more about it. Okay, now before you start, a website audit. Now we need to look at fixing and immediate issues. We want to give the best experience to users and customers. So work with your web developer, look at Google Webmaster Tools, and find out if Google's telling you that your website has any errors, and please try and fix them. Some of these errors might be to do with 404 page errors, so that means a page doesn't actually exist, so Google's having problems finding it, or users are having problem finding it. You can run other audits. So I provide a free website audit where you can check broken links. So that's internal pages. You might have changed a page name, a blog article, or removed an image, for example, by accident. It'll show you the broken links. Also an external third-party links. So that's going to change all the time. If you don't have this monitoring on monthly, you've probably got a lot of external broken links on your website, especially if it's a very informative, informational website. Tracking code issues, again, we mentioned that. Just make sure Google tracking code's working. And then site and page speed. So how fast is your website loading on different, devices, desktop, mobile, etc. Again, work with your web developer for this. Once you've kind of optimized a site for these and fixed all the errors, then you can kind of move on to getting into a bit more of the nitty-gritty. Now I'm going to attempt to switch screens, and we're going to go into a live demo. Please use the right questions section to type in any questions if you have while I'm going. All right, so now we're going to go through dashboards. So I've logged into Google Analytics, and this is my audience overview, which is the default overview, which most of you are probably familiar with. On the far left, or the top left, sorry, I'm going to click on Dashboard, and just for this demo, I'm going to click on My Dashboard. Okay, so my dashboard shows me some information that is key to me. Now, this is just an example, so not all this is key for me for what I do with clients, but the dashboard allows you to save a lot of time. Rather than trawling through the over 72 different type of reports that Google Analytics has, you can quickly, as you would bookmark, you can add a widget, what they call widgets in Google Analytics, to your dashboard to give you quick and easy reporting. So here you can see that I've added a widget called Sessions by Device. I want to know how many people are using desktop, mobile, and tablet, because this is forever changing, and it's quite important that I serve content to those users of mine in a way that they want to read it or digest it. So a good thing about a dashboard is that you can have up to, I think, 8 or 10 widgets that you can have, and it gives you a really good snapshot. You can just log in at the start of the day and have a look. Now, if you didn't have that time and you needed to provide a report for reporting purposes to your manager, another good reason for using a dashboard is you can configure it to all the different parts that your manager's asking for, or your board's asking for that you need to report for. So you just add the widgets for device category, or you wanted to know bounce rates, for example. Bounce rates is when someone comes to your website and leaves within only viewing one page. You might want to look at other information, the most popular page that's being looked at. You can quite easily do it using the dashboard. You can click on Export at the top here and click on PDF. What that's going to do is generate you a printable, friendly PDF so that you can attach it as part of your report. So I'll just try and load that. And you can see that it's generated the report based on my configuration and my date range here at the top right. Now, if you weren't happy with that, you can quite easily go back to the top right, and if you wanted to change the date, for example, you're usually probably going to be reporting on the last month. You can click on last month and then click on apply, and then you can get your information updated. Another thing you can do to save time is email yourself a report. So you can type in your email address, schedule it to appear every week in your inbox, and then hit send. And that's probably the best way to get a summary as a dashboard emailed to you every week. So you don't need to log in all the time. If you see anything of interest, like a big spike or a big dip, then you can log in to see what's going on. Okay, let's move on to real-time. Real-time is another clever report that's been introduced, I think, the last 12 or 18 months on Google Analytics. It's really timely. I really like this report. What that shows me is how many people are on my website in real time right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another browser, and I'm just going to go to my website and go to a particular page. So sorry I went too fast on that, but I really want to come back to this report. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to attempt to also try and go on my mobile. So you'll notice that it says one desktop person is on there, and they're on the, if you look at in the middle of the screen where it says top active pages, it shows you that that person is on our difference. Now if I try to log in through my mobile, we should be able to see in a bit of time that there's another user that appears. I love live demonstrations. Okay, we've got another mobile user, and it's showing me that they're on a different page. Now they're both me, but that's just giving you a quick little overview to see in real time what's happening. So where does this come in handy? Well, if you're running a campaign, or you've got a radio ad, that's an interview going live straight away, you can actually see the users that are on your website in real time and where they're really directing their traffic. You might want to quickly act on that if you wanted to update a page by putting a banner on there, or putting a call to action, etc. So again, this is in real time. You have to be very quick in being able to update your site, but it does give you a lot of good information very quickly. I'm going to skip past all the other items here, but this gives you more in-depth information of real-time reporting. So now let's try and go back to the PowerPoint. Now, most of the rest of the presentation I'm going to be in Google Analytics, so if I do ever come back to the PowerPoint, I might just be fast-forwarding. So I'm just going through the questions to see if there's any to respond to. I'll leave any other questions till the end over here. Okay, keep on going. So the next one is audience.
Sorry, Rodney. There was a
Yep.
Leisha. She mentions, "What's your website? We could open it too." That's what she.
Okay, yep, sure. It's pn.com.au. That's P for pretty, N for nice.com.au. Okay, so the next is the audience and overview. This is by far the most popular and most long-standing report that Google Analytics has had. They've changed a few names. It's now called Sessions and Users. It used to be called something slightly different. Sessions is a particular session that someone spends on the website. And I'm going to go try and find another account where there's a bit more data. So a user is an individual user. I come in once and I look at a website, I create a session. If I come as the same user, I come in again and open up another session, it'll be counted as 2 sessions. So you can see here that that's why the sessions will always be more than the users, because we have, in this case, we can see there's 27.9% returning visitor. Our aim, and I'll quickly go through this one, is to always improve the pages per session and the session duration. And the reason for that, and they'll always be my 2 main key metrics, is the longer you can keep someone on your website and the more information pages they're clicking through, the more interest it shows on most occasions of your brand or your content or your information that you have to offer. If we look on the left, Google Analytics has also introduced some really new demographics and interests reports. I'm not going to cover them in this session, but they are only, I guess, something you should look at but not take on at 100% accuracy, because they're not. It's based on, you know, your IP address or who owns the internet connection and all sorts of things. So, excuse me, it's just good to keep in mind that they're there. The one that I'll go to is the technology one. So under mobile, and you click on overview, this is the device one that I was talking about. So the session's about improving conversions. If you're looking at how you should improve conversions, one of the big things to look at is looking at this stat. So based on the last month, we've had, this client has had, 58%, and you can even add tablet, 65% roughly of mobile traffic, and less than 35% of desktop traffic. So if you have optimized your website to work brilliantly on a desktop and very poorly on a mobile device, you're not serving up the content that people are looking for, the format they want to digest it in. We all talk about responsive, making sure your website responds so that is, it resizes to the device size so it's legible. We'll talk about responsive sites, and that should be a given. Nearly all websites these days should be responsive. If it's not, you need to jump on that as the first point of call. But secondly, you need to start to learn, and you can through Google Analytics, the people that come to you from a mobile device, what content are they after? And if the majority of people are looking at a particular page, a particular section in your site, why not make it easier for them to find that information? And why not reduce the amount of content that you're providing on a mobile device versus a desktop device. So they're called mobile-specific websites, not just a responsive site. But if you are, you've got budget constraints and a lot of not-for-profits, we've got fixed budgets, you need to look at least having a responsive website as your number one goal. I'll continue on. So we're going to skip through audience and go through the famous ABCs. So the ABCs of Google Analytics is acquisition. How did someone come to our website? B for behavior, which is what are they doing when they get to our website? And C for conversions. It's more kind of for us to know, did they convert on some of the goals that we set up? And as I said before, goals will be a number of things like email sign-ups, a confirmation page, downloading a PDF. So let's go on acquisition. We'll just click on overview. Overview gives you a good indication to see where most of your traffic is coming from. So organic search is number one here. Direct traffic, where people know, so organic search is for Google, typing it into Google and just getting a result. Direct traffic is when someone knows your website address. They're coming to you for a specific, they already know of you. Paid search is Google advertising maybe, or YouTube advertising, any sort of paid advertising, and they're coming to your site. Social would be social media like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and then referrals might be third-party websites that are linking to you. And we can leave the rest. So this is good to know because you can see that a lot of people are direct. In this case, a lot of people are direct traffic. So there's people that know of our brand and our name are typing in. So they've most likely been there before and coming back. So it's good to know that all your brand awareness is really good because they know of you. An organic search is, really good that they can find you on Google. It means that our page is, search engine friendly and it's ranking really well. You can look at other reports to see, if they're getting the information they're after, and that's why you set up goal conversions and things like that. And we'll find that out later on. Again, as every other report, you can drill down, so you can go into all the traffic. You can see how AdWords performed. You can see how search engine performed, how your social media performed. But the most important one that I want to go through is campaign tracking. We're going to click on campaigns and click on all campaigns. How are we going? Any other questions before we get into all campaigns? Everyone going okay?
Yes, there are no questions at this moment,
Right.
Rodney.
Yep. Going through campaigns, I'm just going to change the date up the top to get a bit more information here. All right. So campaign tracking is basically a tool used to help track your campaigns, but to see where your money is spent. So I'm just going to click on one of the campaigns, and we're just going to drill down. So this campaign is showing me where I've spent my money and where the best use of my money is going. So I'm spending money on AdWords for this campaign, and we can see that AdWords is the number one ranked for bringing traffic back for this campaign. We can then see the next one is Facebook, and Facebook repeats itself a few times, so we can see that there was a specific ad that I created, there was a post, another national ad, and then there was SMS down here. But by us placing tracking code and a tracking URL on these different ads, even a text message, we're able to know how successful a campaign is to bringing in traffic. Now this particular campaign, if you look at the very far right, goal conversions were not set up. It would have been a good idea to set up goal conversions too to find out not only did we bring traffic in, but how many of those converted to what we wanted, meaning in this case it was completing an online form. Now we do have another system that a database that gets all the forms, so we did have that information, but you can put it into Google Analytics so you've got it all in the one place. So taking a step back, I'm just going to pop into PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to have to skip a few. So an example of tracking a campaign is that, say for example, you had a fun run coming up. You might want to create a Facebook post for the fun run. And an idea would be to look at the different source, mediums, and the name. Now I will have, and this is a definite view, I will have a screencast for campaign tracking, because so you can see how I do it step by step. But the main thing Google asks you for is what is the source. So our source is Facebook. Our medium, which is what are we doing? Is it an advert? Is it a post? What is it? In this case, it's the post. And then the campaign name. So we've got to get that right. It's got to be the same name for every single tracking URL you set up. So in this case, we're talking about Fun Run 2015. If you accidentally misspelt it or change the naming convention, you're actually going to get a few different campaigns here, which is not really going to help you. So it'll come down on the list over here. You'll have a few different variations. Probably see there's one here, In Demand 2015 and In Demand 15. So someone's incorrectly named this small campaign that they've gone through. So that's an error. So to keep your housekeeping in Google Analytics, you would make sure that that keeps the same. So again, if you're interested in campaign tracking and finding out more about where your advertising spend's going or where your energy is going, and to find out how it's performing, please let me know at the end. So now going into behavior. One of the most popular reports in the behavior section is, which are my top 10 ranking pages? What are people looking at? So here we can see that just quickly there's a shortage in pay rates and vacancies. And the reason I mentioned that is because clients, the jobs and how much we're getting paid is quite important. And this is a not-for-profit organisation, and they put apprenticeships through, put students through apprenticeships, and the whole aim is to lift their profile in the industry. Here we've got quite a few different reports to go through. Behavior flow is one that I kind of like. What it does is it helps you show where someone landed on your website and what did they do next. Which page did they actually go to next? Rather than saying they looked at 3 pages, I know that if someone landed on the pay rates page, they then went from here to a vacancies page. So, okay, so someone that's interested in looking at rates is now looking at the job opportunities. And you can see that 668 actually went through, which is 55%, and about half of them also dropped off. So you might look at how we can improve those conversions, but it's great to understand how your users are behaving with that page. They're coming to check out rates, and then they're wanting to look at the job opportunities. Whether they apply for it or not would be another step. Site content is where you can look at your top 10 in a bit more detail. And then we're looking at other ones on the left, which could be sent to your, as mentioned earlier, to your web developer, the site speed. Google just recently introduced this to show you what pages you can improve. I'm going to skip on this. Site search is a bit advanced, but it's probably something that you should also look at when looking at improving conversions. It's all about giving the user a better experience. When they're coming to your website, if your website has a search box up the top, people are usually using it because they can't find what they're looking for in the site navigation. So that is the navigation menu or something on the page that's scrolling up and down, and they can't find it, so they just use the search box as the last result before they quit. Now, for you to improve the experience, it'd be good to find out what people are typing in. So if your programmer can update site search so that you can record into Google Analytics, you can actually see the keywords that people are typing in. We ran this experiment for this client, and we were able to see that these were the main pages that people were accessing or trying to access based on their keywords. And once we promoted it to an open navigation on the home page, we've seen a high result, a high increase in more session times, more page views, and finally in conversions. So that was quite a big move for us, and we learned that through site search, among other things, as to what was the most popular page people were looking at. Events. A lot of people ask me about this one, and unfortunately Google hasn't made it easy. There is a thing called Google tagging, which is they're trying to make it a bit easier to find out this information. But again, you'll probably need to go to your web developer for this. But event tracking is to find out So Google Analytics by default tracks what page you're on. So it says I'm on this page, I'm on that page. Whereas when you actually land on the page, the web page, you can't track what someone's doing. So if you wanted to know which slide rotator, there's I think 4 slides here, if you wanted to know which 4 slides had a greater impact, you wouldn't know if someone clicked on a slide or not. If you had a PDF download available on the page, you wouldn't know. So by placing event tracking on each of those slides or each of the PDFs, for example, you're able to see, and gather more information on what's actually working for you. That might help make a decision whether slide rotator is a good idea, whether you need to improve of them, or which ones are working or not. So event tracking can come in handy with that. We're going to skip through it and just look at this last one, in-page analytics. This will take a little bit of time to load. Sakina, how are we going on time?
We have about 20 minutes.
Yeah, sure. So there are other apps out there called ClickTail, which I quite find is a really good one that's free, that records sessions. There's Crazy Egg as well, but basically what this does is it puts a bit of a heat map over your website to show you where the most popular sections and where people are going. So you can easily gauge to see, and that's why if you have a look at that apprenticeship vacancies, and that's the only one I'm going to focus on for now, it's got 20% of the traffic is going there. So we do know that that's a very hot topic for our site. So we need to just constantly better evaluate that page, provide more information around that topic to be found in search engines, and keep on going there. That's just giving us a big hint that that's where we should be spending our effort. Okay, the last one is conversions. Now, conversions are called goals in Google Analytics. When we're looking at goals, you should always align your website goals with your organizational goals. So whether it be, we want to increase awareness for our cause, we want to increase membership, or also subscriber on an email database, whatever it might be, you need to create some goals here for easy reporting. It really does help. So I'm just going to click on Set Up Goals and show you how to do this. I'm actually going to show you the different types of goals, sorry. So if you click on New Goal, it will bring up this section here which shows you the 4 main types of goals that you can set up. So a destination goal is when you get to, say, a thank you page or a particular page if you want to get them to know that you've got a success. That might be if you've recently had a promotion, a competition, or an expression of interest to an event. You might have a thank you page. So once people hit that thank you page, you can say goal achieved. So it gives you a tick. And then you can measure that. A duration one, we're always talking about getting people longer on our website. You might have a duration goal. So if we're sitting at 2 minutes 51, for example, at the moment, and we want to get them to 3 minutes 51, you can set up a goal for that. I mean, I wouldn't be jumping to 5 minutes. It's quite a big ask, but you're looking at improving session times. Also, pages per screen, which is the next goal. Similar to the duration one, you can say we want, every session we want 3 or maybe 3.5 to increase it. And finally, the event goal. So we did talk about event tracking. That's if someone played a video, as it's saying in the example, or downloaded a PDF, or clicked on a particular slide on a slide rotator. You might have that set up as goals because you just want to know what's happening and, again, how are you spending your efforts with your web developer, with your marketing team, etc. Let me just jump back. So I'm just skipping through these because, as I mentioned, I stayed through the Google Analytics for a live demo. Here's a typical landing page, for example, if you're running a footy comp or something. On the left is the landing page, people complete it, and then they go to the thank you page on the right. That would be kind of a conversion that you would measure. Might have a quick look at Facebook Insights. So if you go to your Facebook page, right at the top you can click on Insights. Insights brings up your reporting. I'm only going to go through 2 sections for today, but the overview is almost like your dashboard. It has a quick snapshot of the things you want to see, like your increase in page likes, your reach, and your engagement. The post reach is probably by far the one that I use the most. By looking at this one, I know for this client they had some radio activity last week and the week before, so that's why they're going to be really down from the previous weeks. So that's not a big issue. But otherwise, if I did see a dip like this, I'd be jumping on to see what's going on. The 2 main ones I would want to look at is people. So again, trying to understand the customer that comes. For example, we talked about in Google Analytics, a report we could see was that social media was giving us some traffic, and we knew they're also coming on mobile devices. And if you're starting to put those 2 together, then you start also looking at the demographics here. For example, in this case, there's a lot of men between the age of 13 to 24. I think that 66% of our demographic is in that age group. If we look at just one other item here, which says people engaged, we can actually see that, yep, it's the same demographic that's engaged with our Facebook marketing. So when we're getting that message out and when we're wanting them to click to a landing page on our website, we have to be very mindful that this is our main audience on Facebook, sorry. So get that information relevant to them to get that click through to a landing page that's also targeted to this age bracket and this demographic. There's no point serving up information, for example, if you got them to click and go to your home page, that's not really very engaging. They've obviously clicked on a post interested in something specific, and you need to present that in that manner. The next one is also posts. This one is a really good one to see when people are actually going, when's the best time for you to put up a Facebook post. You can see here that at 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. it's very low. When you're starting to look at after 6 p.m. towards midnight, a lot of your users are online. So it might be a good idea to start trialing this by putting a few posts at different times to see how it works, after 6 to 9 and when you're getting the most interaction or engagement. It tries to show you Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, but it's very hard to gauge. I know with a number of accounts that I manage, it's kind of similar here. The one that I use is mainly the time, and the rest is you just have to use testing mechanisms. So post something on a Sunday night and see if you get more of a reaction than a Wednesday night. So the only reason, and I'll jump back to the PowerPoint, so the only reason we just quickly jumped into Facebook Insights is to come to our last slide, which is all about how to improve conversions. So what we need to keep in mind when we have website traffic coming to our users coming to our website is that they're in mainly these 4 situations. So I'll give you an example. We'll go back to the fun run. So I'm Googling away wanting to do something for charity, and I'm trying to see what options do I have. I don't really want to just donate money. I want to look for something. So I find the fact that you can do fun runs. So that's an awareness that I've been brought into. So now how would I know about that? It might have landed me on your website. So suddenly I know your organization runs fun runs. So there's a bit of awareness, and you've captured me a little bit. But I've also probably looked at 10 different other websites about fun runs. The next stage it might be when I come back to it all is an interest. I'm really interested in fun runs, but I know that I'm not really fit, and I had an injury only 18 months ago, so I want to look at maybe a 4K run or 5K run and maybe in about 3 months' time so I can train up for it. Okay, so then I'm looking and narrowing down my search, and out of the awareness category, okay, maybe yours is still there, and now I've got more of an interest. Looking at consideration, now I might be getting to a stage where it might be about the cause, or it might be about the actual run. Can I take my kids on a pram or something like that, or can you walk as well as run, because I don't want to just be with super athletes. So again, does your website provide the information that I need when I'm in the consideration phase? How do you make that more appealing? Do you provide reviews or testimonials on that page? Do you provide video of last year's fun run? Now you're really enticing me to, consider your event. And then finally, I might be putting it up on social media and asking others. And if they're also contributing and they're part of your raving fans and your message is also on social media, that's really helping me convert to make that purchase. And once I make the purchase, then we're all happy, and it would probably go into another funnel, which is, you know, customer retention and all that sort of stuff. But just looking at this example, it's very important to know your customers in the different situation and how to interact with them and how to give them relevant content to serve them when they're in the awareness state, in an interested state, in considering, you know, becoming a member or making a donation state, and then finally making the transaction. What do you do after that? Look, just going to the next slide, which is just a summary of what we've covered. I hope that if you have any questions, you can start popping them into the questions section. But if you were after a more detailed view on the screencast, I do suggest you go to the Digital Crowd website, and on the top right, there's a suggest a topic. If you can just type in here what you're interested in, I will personally reply to your email and let you know when I can schedule in that screencast for you. I usually get quite a few requests, and they do take a little while to do, so it will be, you know, please give me some weeks to do so. All right, Sakina, are there any other questions or?
Yes, we do have a couple of questions here from Leisha. I've had sales on my website, but it's not tracking in my Google Analytics. How do I get that to track my sales?
Okay, so I'm assuming that you have an e-commerce website. What you need to actually do is in your Google Analytics, and I'm going to just try and go as slow as I can up here, in the admin section, you need to kind of look to see if your e-commerce settings are switched on. Okay. So if you click on e-commerce settings here, you need to be able to make sure your e-commerce settings are on. That's step number 1 for Google Analytics. Step number 2 is making sure that particular shopping cart system you're using allows you to track any sort of third-party, use any sort of third-party tracking tool. I've had a lot of experience where if it's got a lot of what's called JavaScript in there or built in a specific system that doesn't allow any third-party code in there, unfortunately you're kind of stuck. And this is where it's very important when evaluating software you use, you should know whether you can have, you know, Google Analytics tracking code or not. Hopefully it's something that isn't, and you can enable e-commerce, provide them the tracking code, and the web developers will load it for you. Or maybe if you're using something like WooCommerce or something, there's a plugin that just allows you to do it quite quickly.
She mentions that she uses...
there's another question here.
Sorry, she mentions that she uses WP e-commerce.
Okay. I'm not kind of aware of that one, but usually there should be a plugin that might help you for that. If you can put in, if you can send me an email, I'll be happy to try and search that for you offline.
So we have another question here. So if I have a page with lots of videos on it, will event tracking tell me what videos they've watched?
Yes, correct. Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's exactly what it's there for. And you'll even, you know, use that with your YouTube stats, which should, like if you've embedded your video on YouTube, which is what you should upload it to YouTube and embed it on your website. But yeah, if you have event tracking on that video, you'd be able to find out what videos they watched, how long they watched it for, when did they abandon. You can get all that information.
Okay.
I'm just going through. Okay, yeah. Are there any other questions? I just went through a few others, but they probably require a lot more detail.
Yes, this was the last question from Leisha was, could you please repeat the heat map part?
Okay. So the heat map part, if we just go back and click on reporting. So, okay, in Google Analytics it's called in-page analytics, which you'll find under behavior. And what it allows you to do is to find basically where people are clicking on your website. Now this one doesn't give you, and a heat map gives you like a sensor type feel. So if you use something like crazy egg or clicktail, they actually show you using colors. So the hotter it is, the redder the color is. And as it gets away from it, it becomes green and blue. But you're able to see where people are clicking on your website. Now Google Analytics does try to do this for you with color, but it's really not as good as the other ones that I've used. So I'll just click on show color, for example. Let's see it trying to do it. So you can see it's trying to do color here, but it doesn't really work as well. It's trying to use color. But you know, using this tool, a heat map tool, you're really trying to find out where are your areas in your website that are, I guess, key real estate, and where people are clicking. You're trying to find information that they're wanting to know more about, and other information that probably you can get rid of. I mean, if you can declutter, it's better. So you take it away from the main navigation menu, take it away from the home page. If no one's looking at it, get rid of it. And using heat map tools can really help that.
Wonderful, Rodney. That was our last question. Would you like to say anything? Probably a few last words.
Oh no, thanks everyone for listening, and apologies for my sniffles and everything. I had hardly any sleep. Look, the Digital Crowd was set up to help actually not-for-profits. I went to the Connecting Up Expo last year, and I spoke to, I think it was 188 members. I was knocked off my feet, and pretty much everyone was looking for some sort of assistance with digital marketing where, with restricted budgets and time that they can't get to. So I created an offshoot of my company, the Digital Crowd, mainly to help not-for-profits at no cost. So if you put your topic that you're wanting some assistance with, simply go to suggest a topic. All we ask is for you to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our e-newsletter. But I mean, that's it. There's no money exchange. There's nothing like that. And we'll record a screencast for you and publish it and send you the link. So I hope to see you, if I do, and in May. Is it end of May, Connecting Up Expo?
Yes.
Sakina?
Yes. Yes, Rodney.
Yeah. So I hope to see some of the members that were online in May. But yeah, thanks for listening, and hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you, Rodney, for presenting, and thank you each and every one of you who could join us today. As I mentioned before, you will receive an email with a link to the recording and slides by end of day today. So until next time, thank you, everybody, and bye-bye.